All right. Hello, everyone. So glad you're all joining us. Happy St. Patrick's Day. My name's Griffin. I'm Grace's sister, if any of you know Grace. But she's off traveling, and so I'm filling in on this wonderful St. Patrick's Day. We have a wonderful night of Irish song ahead, and I'll let Charlie take it away. Thanks, guys.
Good.
Oh, Mary, this London's a wonderful sight. There's people here working by day and by night. They don't sow potatoes or barley or wheat, but there's gangs of 'em digging for gold in the streets. At least when I asked them, that's what I was told. So I just took a hand at that digging for gold. But for all that I found there, I might as well be where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea. I believe that in writing a wish you expressed as to how the young ladies of London are dressed. Well, if you'll believe it, when bound for a ball, they don't wear no tops to their dresses at all. I saw it myself, and I nearly did laugh to tell if they were bound for a ball or a bath. Don't be starting those fashions now, Mary Macree, where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea. I've seen England's king from the top of a bus. I never knew him, though he means to know us. And though by the Saxon we've oft been oppressed, I cheered, God forgive me, I cheered with the rest. But now that he's visited Erin's green shores, we'll be much better friends than we've been heretofore. When we've all that we want, we're as quiet as can be, where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea. You remember old Denny McLaren, of course. Well, he's over here with the rest of the force. I saw him just yesterday crossing the sand. He held up the traffic with one wave of his hand. And as we stood there talking and time passing on, the whole town of London stood there looking on. But for all his great powers, he's longing like me for the place where the dark morn sweeps down to the sea. There's beautiful girls here, now never you mind. They've wonderful shapes nature never designed. Lovely complexions of roses and cream. But let me remark with regard to the same, that if of those roses you venture to sip, the color might all come away on your lip. So I'll wait for the wild rose that's waiting for me, where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea.
Oh, that one's lovely, Charlie.
Thanks, Griffin.
I feel like right away we already have the landscape set for us.
Oh, great. Yeah, Percy French wrote that song. Very interesting guy, a middle class Protestant university man from the Republic of Ireland, not from the North, but he was sent to school in the North and to study to be a sewer inspector, and instead he settled for the life of an itinerant folk singer. I can't blame him for that. And he used to have, he's quite a gifted artist, and I think we have some of his paintings. You want to put them up there? Yeah, that's a good Mountains of Mourne kind of picture. And he could play a number of instruments, but would prefer to have a piano accompany him when he performed around Ireland. He just sort of whistle-stopped through. And when he had his hands free, he would sing while doing chalk drawings on a slate that he held on his lap. And when the song was over, he'd hold up the slate, and there would be a scene from the song he'd just sung.
Wow.
The next song I'm going to do was one of the first ones he ever wrote. It's probably the one he's best known for all the wrong reasons. It was something that he wrote for a talent show when he was in university. And it became very popular largely because he was robbed of his copyright and people recorded it, changed the lyrics, and it was introduced into the United States by a fellow named Frank Crumit and eventually recorded by Bing Crosby.
Wow.
And he made little or no money for it. But I think he wised up for that and started getting his due. So the song was written in 1877 while the Russian-Turkish War was going on. And it features a battle between a Russian and a Turk. And it's called Abdul Abulbul Amir. Let's try that again. Sing the song, Charlie. Oh, the sons of the prophet are noble and bold and quite unaccustomed to fear. But the bravest by far in the ranks of the Shah was Abdul Abulbul Amir. If you wanted a man to encourage the van or harass the foe in the rear or storm a redoubt, you had only to shout for Abdul Abulbul Amir. And the heroes are many and well known to fame, from the troops that were led by the Tsar. And the bravest of these, whom no man could appease, was Ivan Skivinsky Skivar. He could imitate Tool, play euchre and pool, and strum on the Spanish guitar. In fact, quite the cream of the Muscovite team was Ivan Skivinsky Skivar. One day this bold Russian, he shouldered his gun and donned his most truculent sneer. Downtown he did go, where he trod on the toe of Abdul Abulbul Amir. Young man, quoth Bulbul, has your life grown so dull that you wish to end your career? Vile infidel, no, you have trod on the toe of Abdul Abulbul Amir. So take your last look upon sunshine and brook and send your regrets to the Tsar. By this I imply you are going to die, Mr. Ivan Skivinsky Skivar. Said Ivan, my friend, your remarks in the end will avail you but little, I fear, for you'll never survive to repeat them alive, Mr. Abdul Abulbul Amir. Then this bold Mameluke drew his trusty shibuk with a cry that was heard from afar, and with deadly intent he ferociously went for Ivan Skavinsky Skivar. As Abdul's long knife was extracting the life, in fact, he was shouting, "Huzzah!" He felt himself struck by that wily Kalmuk, Count Ivan Stravinsky Skivar. Oh! The Sultan drove by in his red-breasted fly, expecting the victor to cheer. He only drew nigh to hear the last sigh of Abdul Bulbul Amir. Tsar Petrovich, too, in his spectacles blue, drove up in his new crested car. He arrived just in time to exchange a last line with Ivan Skavinsky Skivar. A tombstone arose where the blue Danube flows, engraved there in characters clear. Ah, stranger, pass by, but contribute a sigh for Abdul Bulbul Amir. A Muscovite maiden her lone vigil keeps by the light of the pale polar star, and the name that she murmurs so oft as she weeps is Ivan Skavinsky Skivar. Yes, Ivan Skavinsky Skivar. All right, Percy French.
Yeah, wow. That's a fun one.
Yeah. A bit touchy, I'm sure, even at the time, since
Uh-huh.
the war was going on between those two countries.
What a good old-fashioned standoff nonetheless.
Yeah, I was thinking about that poem about the the gingham dog and the calico cat. They killed
Uh-huh.
each other on the mantelpiece. Yeah.
What do you got
There's
next?
probably a whole genre of songs in which the protagonists destroy one another.
Definitely.
So, um, here's a song from the north of Ireland. It's a music hall piece, as was the former one, and it kind of plays up the divisions between Catholic and Protestant in the north, and that's a dynamic I'd like to address as the songs go on. But in this particular one, let's see, what can I tell you? It starts out in Tyrone, which is in the north of Ireland, and it slowly works its way south from the county of Tyrone to the province of Connacht. It refers to the 12th of July, which is a great holiday in the north of Ireland, still observed there, which celebrates the victory of the Protestant King William over the Catholic King James II, William of Orange, James II, at the Battle of Boyne, 1690, which the Irish seem never to be able to forget. So that's some of the historical background for it. I find for a lot of these songs, the more you know, the less important it is, because I've been listening to them for years and it never bothered me. I didn't know what they were singing about. It's called The Old Orange Flute. In the county Tyrone, in the town of Dungannon, 'twas many's the ruction meself had a hand in. Bob Williamson lived there, a reaver by trade, and all of us thought him a stout orange blade. On the 12th of July, as it yearly did come, Bob'd play on the flute to the sound of a drum. You may talk of your harp, your piano or lute, but there's none could compare with the old orange flute. But Bob's a deceiver, he took us all in, for he married a papist named Bridget McGinn. turned papish himself and forsook the old cause that gave us our freedom, religion, and laws. Now the boys at the place made some comment upon it, and Bob had to fly to the province of Connaught, along with his wife and his fixins to boot, and along with the latter, the old orange flute. At chapel on Sunday, to atone for past deeds, Bob said paters and aves and rattled his beads, till one Sunday morn at the priest's own desire, Bob went with the old flute to play in the choir. He went with the old flute to play at the mass, but the instrument shivered and cried, oh alas, for blow as he would, though it made a great noise, the flute would play only the Protestant boys. Bob jumped, and he started, got all in a flutter, and he threw the old flute in the blessed holy water. He thought that this charm would bring some other sound. When he played it again, it played Croppies Lie Down. And for all he could finger and whistle and blow, to play papish music he found it no go. Kick the Pope, the Boyne Water, it freely would sound, but one papish squeak in it could not be found. At the Council of Priests that was held the next day, they decided to banish the old flute away. They couldn't knock heresy out of its head, so they bought Bob a new flute to play in its stead. Now the old flute was doomed, and its fate was pathetic. 'Twas fastened and burned at the stake as heretic. As the flames soared around it, they heard a great noise. 'Twas the old flute still playing the Protestant boys. Tooraloo, tooralay, it's 6 miles from Bangor to Donaghadee. Little
Oh, that was great.
skirmish.
I got a question, Charlie.
Well, ask it.
Do you know if, like, during the Troubles, if there was kind of a politicization of who could sing what song, and like if that kind of changed who sang what between the North and the South?
Well, it changed over the years. Let's see. Certainly, there was a time, probably up until the mid-1920s, when you could be arrested and jailed for singing any of the rebel songs, as long as the British held sway there. But as their power was broken, that kind of opened things up. Also, well, this next song will kind of give an example of it. It's a song called Roddy McCorley, and it was written in the wake of the 1798 uprising, which was an attempt to overthrow British rule in Ireland, ultimately a failed attempt. But it brought together the Protestants of the North, primarily Presbyterians, and they had a group called the Society of United Irishmen, and they formed an alliance with the Catholic majority against the upper class establishment, which was primarily Anglican. And so it was more of a class distinction rather than a religious distinction, and more of a rebellion against England than an internecine feud of Irish. So Roddy McCorley dies in the song. Spoiler alert, we're going to kill Roddy McCorley. And it was immortalized in a poem by Ethna Carberry and later set to music, which is how we get to hear it tonight. but he was the son of a miller, and born in the north in County Antrim, so presumably from the Society of United Irishmen, the Presbyterians. And before the uprising, his father was arrested and executed, allegedly for stealing sheep, but it seems more likely that it's because he was a troublesome agitator. But anyhow, it certainly set Roddy McCorley up to be a rebel fighter, and this is what happened to him. Oh, see the fleet-foot hosts of men who speed with faces wan, from farmstead and from fisher's cot, along the banks of Bond. They come with vengeance in their eyes. Too late are they. For young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Tuam today. Up the narrow street he steps, smiling, proud and young. About the hemp rope on his neck, the golden ringlets clung. There is never a tear in his blue eyes, both glad and bright are they, as young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Tuam today. When he last stepped up that street, his shining pike in hand, behind him marched in grim array a stalwart, earnest band. To Antrim town, for Antrim town, he led them to the fray. But young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Tuam today. There is never a one of all your dead more bravely fell in fray than he who marches to his death on the bridge of Tuam today. True to the last, true to the last, he treads the upward way. For young Roddy McCorley goes to die on the bridge of Tuam today.
Lovely.
I don't know.
Charlie, I got a question.
Yeah.
Would you be able to double check your audio to make sure that it's on the musical setting?
Thanks.
I got one message that they're hearing voice and no guitar.
Well, I do have original sound on.
Okay.
And I think that's about all I could do. Would you concur that there's not much guitar in the mix?
I'm hearing it from my end.
Okay.
There could be maybe a little bit more.
All right. We'll try adjusting the mic just a bit. I also want to say that if you can't hear the guitar, you're not missing much.
As someone who can hear the guitar, I beg to differ.
So, keeping with this theme of the divisiveness that the divide and conquer reality of sectarian divisions, Catholic and Protestant, upper class and lower class, in the North, ruling class and the croppies, the lower class Catholics who did not have their civil rights. a family that's really addressed that problem over and over again is the Sands family. I think here in the United States, Tommy Sands is best known of them, but he comes from a whole family, Ben and I have to pronounce this right, Ann. I once called her Ann. She didn't like that. Ann, and finally Colum, who's also a great songwriter like his brother Tom. And they've really fought to resist and rise above sectarian violence and to bring together people in a common cause for the good of all of Ireland. And this next song is a beautifully simple ballad that talks about, I guess, sort of the absurdity of being divided from people to whom you have so much in common with. It's called The March Ditch, and the March Ditch is a boundary wall or a trench between two adjoining properties, and not uncommon in the north that on one side of the ditch there'd be Protestant, on the other side there'd be Catholic. I also point out, if you want to know who's a Protestant or who's a Catholic, I wouldn't advise going to church because you don't always find them there. It's more of a cultural thing. That was my experience anyhow. The March Ditch by Colum Sands. I sat beside the March Ditch when I was very small. I could hear the neighbors working in the field behind the wall. Farmers' children like ourselves, hungry mouths to feed, and spring was calling from the soil. It's time to sow the seeds. Spring was coming from the soil. It's time to sow the seeds. I might point out that the song has that refrain. The last two lines are repeated each time, which will give you an opportunity to sing along. Of course, you'll be muted, but at least you'll hear yourself. Spring was calling from the soil. It's time to sow the seeds. I played beside the March Ditch when I was 4 or 5. A thrush told all the natives it's good to be alive. The corn was shooting through the soil as we ran to and fro, and people working in the fields watched their children grow. People working in the fields watched their children grow. I worked beside the March Ditch when I was 9 or 10, like the neighbors' children, home from school again. But if school days separated us because of different creeds, our orders now were all the same. It's time to pull the weeds. Our orders now were all the same. It's time to pull the weeds. At 17, the March Ditch heard me up. I lost my lyrics. At 17, the March Ditch heard me sing a song, turning hay on both sides now while the days were turning long. We had a break in August, theirs was in July, but when one drop of rain would fall, we'd all look at the sky. When one drop of rain would fall, we'd all look at the sky. I sat beside the March Ditch when I was 25. My heart was feeling empty as the field before my eyes. We had heard it on the radio, another senseless death. But when it comes so close to home, it chills like winter's breath. When it comes so close to home, it chills like winter's breath. I look across the March Ditch, and every day I see someone on the other side who looks a lot like me, to share this earth between us. How long does it need? And spring is calling from the soil. It's time to sow the seeds. Spring is calling from the soil. It's time to sow the seeds. Column Sands.
Oh, wow. That Sands family history is also really interesting to hear.
Yeah, they're a wonderful group of people, real cultural workers. And I had a chance to stay with Colum and Tommy. They have a beautiful home right on the shore of a loch on the southern kingdom of Northern Ireland. And we got to do a folk festival together, which was a lot of fun. I kind of hoped that Tommy would line me up with some jobs while I was there in the north, and I asked him about that, and he wrote back and he said, well, actually, Charlie, we have quite a few of our own musicians up here. But I did get booked into the festival, so I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Oh, that's great. Charlie, I have a question from the chat, Charlie. Someone was wondering if you have any IRA songs in the mix.
Well, inevitably, yeah. Which IRA?
Exactly. I got a reconnolly, so maybe
so badly rent. I mean, I don't know. Someone from the Provost there? Are they gonna kneecap me? I'll mention it as it comes up. But what it all comes down to, and this is certainly if I'm singing songs by the Sands family, and this is a Colum Sands song as well. I'm not going to boost any of the warring factions there. I think ultimately, when I was there, I stayed with some people in Sinn Féin, and this was probably back in the 1970s, and they said, all we want is a time when our children can sleep through the night without the doors being broken down. And, so that was a hard-won piece, and I don't want to belittle it by singing a lot of war songs. Maybe one or two.
And this next title includes Say Nothing, which I'm wondering, have you read the book Say Nothing?
I have, yeah. Have you?
I have not. It's on my reading list, but I'm wondering if there's any connection between the book and the song.
None that I know of. The song was
Okay.
written before the book was written. It's a wonderful book. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. A good look at Irish history. The other book that I found really helpful is called We Don't Know Ourselves. And that's a modern history of Ireland. But whatever you say nothing is kind of a comic reflection. Actually, it reminds me even more of a book called Milkman, which Bill Harley recommended that to Candace and I, and we really loved it. And it takes place in the North, and in the 1970s, from the voice of a 17-year-old girl, and no one in the book has a name. Everybody is known by some sort of, you don't need to know who I am kind of a name. So it's like maybe boyfriend and little sister and Milkman, who's sort of the man in the shadows behind the whole thing. So I think of that when I sing this song, and I'm in the right place to do it. Whatever you say nothing when you talk about you know what. 'Cause if you know who could hear you, you know what you'd get. Or they'd take you off to you know where, for you wouldn't know how long. So for you know whose sake, don't let anyone hear you singing this song. Now you all know what I'm speaking of when I mention you know what. And I think it's very dangerous to even mention that, for the other ones are always near, although you may not see. And And if anyone asks who told you that, please don't mention me. Oh, whatever you say nothing when you speak about you know what. For if you know who could hear you, you know what you'd get. Or they'd send you off to you know where, for you wouldn't know how long. So for you know whose sake, don't let anyone hear you singing this song. And you all know who I'm speaking of when I mention you know who. And if you know who could hear me, you know what he'd do. So if you don't see me around, you'll know why I'm away. And if anyone asks you where I've gone, here's what you must say. Whatever you say nothing when you speak about you know what. 'Cause if you know who should hear you, you know what you'd get. For they'd take you off to you know where, for you wouldn't know how long. So for you know whose sake, don't let anyone hear you singing this song. Well, that's enough about so-and-so, not to mention such and such. I think I'll end my song now. I've already said too much. For the less you say, the less you hear, and the less you'll go astray. And the less you think, the less you do, and the more you'll hear them say. Whatever you say nothing when you talk about you know what. 'Cause if you know who should hear you, you know what you'd get. Or they take you off to you know where, for you wouldn't know how long. So for you know whose sake, don't let anyone hear you singing this song.
I love the humor of Irish songs.
Good man, Colum.
Yeah.
Another contemporary Irish songwriter that I really have fallen in love with is Mickey McConnell. Mickey McConnell.
Do you know what part of Ireland Mickey's from?
Well, he worked as a journalist in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I think, is retired to an Ireland up near Sligo, if I'm not mistaken, but he would know better than I. This is a song that he wrote that, you know, every once in a while I come across a song and I say, well, why would anyone want to write a song about that? I think that a lot when I listen to Paul Simon's songs. You know, he's got these wonderful melodies and it's about and great lyrics, but it's about something like, why are you writing about that? So I thought that about this song, but then, you know, I haven't been writing much myself lately, and one of the reasons is I find myself asking, oh gosh, are you going to write that song again? So maybe I should start writing about other things than peace and justice and civil rights and the like. I'm getting thumbs down from Sydney. Mickey says that he couldn't think of anything more cliched to write about than the death of a clown. So here it goes. Back in the summer of '73, sometime after the matinee, a one-lion circus in a one-horse town suffered the loss of its senior clown. And the upside-down lady on the low trapeze found him gasping on his tweed-patched knees. Her swift, sure hands tucked him into his bed. The smile was painted, but the clown was dead. The smile was painted, but the clown was dead. Eternity's just a one-night stand. Sawdust to sawdust, sand to sand. Flip-flop shoes and a cherry nose. He's gone to God in his working clothes. Gone to God in his working clothes. They bid their farewells at the candy floss stand to the grease-painted corpse in the Bedford van. On a tall, high hill of weathered stones, we laid down his funny bones. We laid down his funny bones. The strong man built him a box of pine. The 8 o'clock show ran at 10 to 9. The juggler juggled with the greatest of ease, and the bright smile flew on the low trapeze. We buried him deep in the dead of the night. The tent came down in the morning light, and all that was left on the morrow morn was a sawdust circle and a square forlorn. A sawdust circle and a square forlorn. I'll always remember the heartbreaking sound of the gravedigger's spade in the stony ground beside the tomb of Monsignor Jones. We laid down his funny bones. We laid down his funny bones. Eternity's just a one-night stand. Sawdust to sawdust, sand to sand. Flip-flop shoes and a cherry nose. He's gone to God in his working clothes. Beside the tomb of Monsignor Jones, they went to God in their working clothes. I love the ending.
Yeah, that is a great ending. I also love the guitar line on that. That's a really lovely kind of rocking tune.
Yeah, it's got a nice rhythm to it.
It does, yeah.
So let's see. I'm
What's
going to
up
do a
next?
bunch of songs tonight by the Dubliners, or that I learned from the recordings of the Dubliners. And this particular one, it's called McAlpine's Fusiliers, and probably won't confuse anyone, but it might have been Ireland, because Fusiliers were soldiers who carried a musket called a fusil. And it seems that the Royal Irish Fusiliers from the north of Ireland were among the many gangs that were exported to England. At one point, Ireland's biggest export was people. That's no longer the case, thank heavens. But so these workers went over to the UK to work for Sir Robert McAlpine's Civil Engineering Corps. And that's how the song comes about. It refers to navvies in it, which is a British term, kind of a derogatory one for laborers who built the British canals, or as they call them, navigators. And there's a couple of people in here, at least one worth mentioning. The straw boss on the crew was a fellow known as Horseface Toole, so you get a good idea what he must have looked like. And I think the other people sort of blend in. So McAlpine's Fusiliers in the key of C, if you're keeping track. As down the glen came McAlpine's men, with their shovels slung behind them. 'Twas in the pub that they drank their sup, and up in the Spike you'll find them. They sweated blood and they washed down mud with pints and quarts of beer. And now we're on the road again with McAlpine's Fusiliers. I stripped to the skin with Darky Flynn, way down upon the Isle of Grain. with horse-faced tool. Then I knew the rule: no money if you stop for rain. McAlpine's God was a well-filled hod, your shoulders cut to bits and seared. And woe to he went to look for tea with McAlpine's Fusiliers. I remember the day that Bear O'Shea fell into a concrete stairs. What the horse face said when he saw him dead, well, it wasn't what the rich call prayers. We've a navvy short was the one retort that reached unto my ears. When the going is rough, well, you must be tough with McAlpine's Fusiliers. This song was set in its current form by Dominic Behan, probably not as well known as his brother Brendan Behan, although we'll have another his song coming up too. And the lead singer for the Dubliners in this song was Ronnie Drew, who sings about an octave below where I do. And they've compared his voice to the sound of shoveling broken glass. I've worked till the sweat has had me bet with Russian, Czech, and Pole on shuttering jams up in the hydro dams or underneath the Thames in a hole. I grafted hard and I've got me cards and many a ganger's fist across me ears. If you pride your life, don't join, by Christ, with McAlpine's Fusiliers. Is it yourself? You got a song for us?
I wish. I pressed the wrong button. Oh, I got you back. Like, I'm wondering if
that was your big break.
That could have been my moment.
Yeah.
So if his voice is shattered glass, what would you say your voice is? But what's the image you try to evoke?
Well, I don't know, really. I don't think about it a whole lot.
It's not shattered glass, I can tell you that.
I know I've put in a lot of time putting the show together, largely because I enjoy it so much. And singing's what I do. I've done it all my life. And I think that's one of the main attractions of the Irish songs for me. Let's see.
Another history one coming up?
Yeah, the national. Well, they're all historic, aren't they?
They're all history.
This one's about the National Land League, which organized the greatest rent strike in Irish history. I guess the story goes that when the land was taken over by the British, the Irish were either pushed off the land or they were turned into sharecroppers, never to their own advantage any more than sharecropping worked here in the United States. And the rents became more and more exorbitant. And so they formed the National Land League. Charles Parnell was the first president of it back in 1879. And their slogan was "The Land of Ireland for the People of Ireland." And this song is called "The Bold Tenant Farmer," which is kind of interesting because the Bold Tenant Farmer does not appear in this song. Presumably, he's, I don't know, hiding under the bed or something because his wife is at the door meeting with the son of the landlord. Everyone is known by their relationship to someone else in this song. It's kind of like Milkman, you know. So the main character in this song is the wife of the landlord. I mean, the wife of the Bold Tenant Farmer and the son of the landlord. Protagonist, antagonist. Mm-hmm. And another thing about this song is that it has a chorus that's almost unsingable, but I know you like a challenge, and so listen up carefully and you will learn this chorus. It's sort of Irish scat, if that means anything to you.
Wow.
Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out 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 tum. Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out tum. Tittery out out, doo da da, tittery out out tum. Tittery out out and doodly darrow. Got that? One evening, late into Bandon, I strayed, and bound for Clonakilty I was making me way. At Ballinascarthy, some time I delayed, for to wet me all the whistle with porter. Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out 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 out, tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out out, tittery out, doo da da, tittery out out out, tittery out out, doodly darrow. I had not traversed but a mile down the road when I heard a dispute from a farmer's abode. 'Twas the son of the landlord, an ill-looking toad, and the wife of the bold tenant farmer. Now what in the devil's come over you all? I come from my rent, you don't pay it at all. But sure at next session I'll make you pay all, or be on the high road to Dungannon, which is Gaelic for Attica. Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out 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 tum. Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out tum. Tittery out out, tittery out up, tittery out out tum. Tittery out out, doodly down. You're a robber, the bold tenant's wife, she replied, and you're worse than your daddy on the other side. But the National Land League will put down your pride, for we're able to bear every storm. I spat in me fist and I picked up me stick, and straight down the road like a deer I did flick. I care not for bailiff, landlord, or old Nick, and I sang like a lark in the morning. Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out 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 out, tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out out, tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out out, tittery out out, doodly darrow. Did you get that?
Tittery out out, tittery out out, tittery out out, out. Kind of, is it Whiskey in the Jar? Is that another one that kind of has some Irish scat in it? I was trying to think of it's kind of just a traditional one that you hear in pubs that has kind of some nonsense words in the chorus.
Well, that could be. One function that those nonsense verse syllables had was to maintain a rhythm. And the rhythm was important because there was rare that there was singing that there wasn't dancing. And there was not always musicians there. So the vocal had to carry both the melody and the rhythm. And the nonsense syllables helped to that end. Then again, they might be something very meaningful in a different language. I don't really know. But I doubt it. I mentioned Dominic Behan for McAlpine's Fusiliers. This is another song that he gets credit for, and it's called The Sea Around Us. It's also known as Surrounded by Water. And key of D, which just means I put the capo on the second fret. And it rejoices in the fact that no matter what, there's at least the Irish Sea between England and Ireland, and that buffer zone will eventually result in our being free. And the chorus goes, the sea, oh the sea, Gragel Macree. If I'm saying that right, it means the fair love of my heart. Long may it roll between England and me. Well, they say that the lakes of Killarney are fair. No stream like the Liffey can ever compare. If it's water you want, you'll find none that's so rare as the stuff they brew out in the ocean. The sea, oh the sea, Gragal Macree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that someday we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water. Tom Moore made his waters meet fame and renown, a great lover of anything dressed in a crown. And Randy, the bandy old Saxon, he had drowned, but thrown ne'er a one in the ocean. The sea, oh the sea, Gragamacree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that someday we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water. The Scots have their whiskey, the Welsh have their speech. Their poets are paid about 10 pence a week, providing no harsh words on England they speak. My God, what a price for devotion. The sea, oh the sea, Gragamacree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that someday we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water. The Danes came to Ireland with nothing to do but to dream of the plundered old Irish they slew. You well in, you Vikings, cried Brian Boru, and he threw them back into the ocean. The sea, oh the sea, Gragamacree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that somehow we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water. Here's the history part for you. Two foreign old monarchs in battle did join, each wanting his head on the back of a coin. If the Irish had sense, they'd drown both in the Boyne and partition throw into the ocean. The sea, oh the sea, Gragamacree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that someday we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water.
Oh, that's a good one. I have some messages from the crowd for you, Charlie. One was someone shared some Scottish chat. Roger shared some Scottish scat, which is from maids when you're young, never wed an old man, and it goes, got no fallurum, falady fallurum, got no fallurum, falady all day. Probably saying that wrong.
No,
And then I got
pretty close. Well,
all right.
how could you be wrong about scat, right?
That's true. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And then I got another question, wondering if you have any songs that you're planning from Irish immigrants to the U.S., or if these are all by Irish natives who stayed there the whole time.
Yeah. For starters, the Mountains of Mourne was a song about the Irish diaspora. Actually don't think I have any songs specifically about Irish immigration to America. If we hang in here long enough, I'll sing a song from the Maritime provinces that's mostly known because Irish people sing it. But we've got a ways to go before then, so we should probably keep rolling.
Sounds good.
Here's a sad song. Lots of Irish sad songs. It's a ballad, comes out of the Irish famine of the 1840s, which was one of the reasons so many Irish came to the United States and other countries as well. And many of them did not leave voluntarily. It was a common practice if you were arrested for one crime or another, and it was very easy to get arrested in Ireland. You would be put on a ship and shipped to Australia, deportation as a punishment. And it didn't matter whether you had a family or a job or anything, you were just gone. And this is it's a contemporary song about the 1840s and about a young man who was arrested for stealing grain to feed his family during the famine. Probably worth mentioning that during the famine, Ireland was a net exporter of protein because the British insisted that they had a greater right to it than the Irish themselves. Many Irish died of starvation with a mouthful of grass. This is called The Fields of Athenry by Pete St. John. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young girl calling. Michael, they are taking you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so our young might see the morn. Now a prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small wee free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling. Nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they ran me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we saw the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had songs and dreams to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely harbor wall, she watched the last star falling, as the prison ship sailed out against the sky. Sure she'll wait and hope and pray for her love in Botany Bay. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams, songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry.
Oh, that's such a good one. And that's so interesting. I didn't know that it was connected to the famine. So I think it was interesting for me to hear those lyrics again, connecting the dots between those two.
Yeah, that's when one of the fun activities this week is chasing down a lot of the history behind the songs.
Yeah.
Here's another song popularized by the Dubliners, and sung by Ronnie Drew, an octave lower than me. And I think we used 2 capos on this song. It's that good. It's called the Glendalough Saint. And the Glendalough Saint was St. Kevin. And he was a hermit, lived in a tiny cave near the lakes in Glendalough. And the other character in the song is Kathleen, who is treated quite badly in the song. In fact, Kathleen was a woman who fell in love with St. Kevin, and when she pursued him, he drove her away. He rebuked her. It said he threw nettles in her face, whatever that means, and she ended up becoming a nun. So, but that's not how the song goes. The song is a lot less serious than that. And you'll be interested to know it has a chorus that you can learn. Probably not.
More scatting?
Say again?
More scatting?
More scat. Goes like this. Refaldi roll dolly roll day. Me faldi doll dolly doll daddy. Me faldi doll dolly doll day. Me faldi roll dolly doll daddy. Got it? In Glendalough lived an old saint, renowned for his learning and piety. His manners were curious and quaint, and he looked upon girls with disparity. Refaldi doll dolly doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll dolly doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Never sing it the same way twice. He was fond of reading a book when he could if he could get one to his wishes. He was fond of casting his hook in among the old fishes. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. One evening he landed a trout. He landed a fine big trout, sir, when Kathleen from over the way came to see what the old monk was about, sir. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Get out of me way, said the saint, for I am a man of great piety, and my good manners I wouldn't taint by mixing with female society. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. But Kitty, she wouldn't give in, and when he got home to his rockery, he found she was seated therein, polishing up his old crockery. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Well, he gave the book creature a shake, and I wish that the Garda had caught him, for he threw her right into the lake. And be Jesus, she sank to the bottom. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Refaldi doll day. Refaldi doll daddy. Can barely sing it myself.
Oh, that's fun. So 2 capos, how does that work?
Well, if I did it right, it would leave the bass string open.
Oh.
Or it's sort of like an open tuning for people who can't play open tuning. And so One capo is depressing the low string, the low E string, and the other one is depressing the other 5 strings.
Oh, wow.
I hope that means more to you than it means to me. So it's not unusual to find songs that make light of the killing of people like Kathleen. There's a whole genre, really, of cheerful, funny murder ballads. I think about, there's Wheelia, Wheelia, Wiley. That's another song that the Dubliners sing about a woman who jabs her penknife into the heart of a baby. And he dies, and so does she. I grew up listening to the Chad Mitchell Trio, and they had a lot of funny murder ballads like Lizzie Borden or Hang on the Bell, Nellie. So I say this by way of apology for the next song, which I'm told was used as an advertisement, something that will not become even reasonably believable until we get to the very end of the song. But I think of it more as a bitter, nationalistic, sectarian murder ballad, which is very funny. And it's called William Bloat, written in 1926 by Raymond Calvert. And now you know. In a mean abode on the Shank Hill Road lived a man named William Bloat. And he had a wife, the bane of his life. She always got her his goat. So one day at dawn with her night dress on, he slit her bloody throat. Now he was glad he had done what he had, as she lay there stiff and still, till fear and awe of the angry law filled his soul with a terrible chill. So to finish the fun so well begun, he decided himself to kill. He took the sheet from his wife's cold feet and he twisted it into a rope. He hanged himself from the pantry shelf. 'Twas an easy end, I hope. In the face of death, with his dying breath, he solemnly cursed the Pope. But the strangest turn of the whole concern is my story is just beginning. For he went to hell, but his wife, she got well. She's alive and still is sinning. For the razor blade was German made, but the rope was Belfast linen.
It's a good ending. Funny ending.
Yeah, it's interesting if you ever want to suss out the 19th and 20th century relationships between Germany and the north and the south of Ireland. But a lot of antipathy towards the Germans in the north and a willingness to form alliances with the Germans in the south. So I'm going to sing one of my favorite Irish songs, written by Johnny Mulhern. I recorded it. I've sung it just about every St. Patrick's Day, I think. And it's called Maddie, who's the main character in the song. And the subtitle is The Dark Familiar, a sort of demon character, I guess you would call it. Matty went out on a frozen night, heading for the pub, shoulders hunched up tight, his eyes down on the railroad track, and his old cow Delia sad, lowing him back. He met with a dark and a troubled man, as he passed him by, called back at him, Matty, can't you see what's become of me in this country of the blind? The house I've left is dead to me rhyming and me poetry. All I've got is the beat of the stagger heading down the Coraline. Matty passed on as quick as he couldn't stand such a crooked man sober. All he wanted was the lights of the bar, the nightingale and the wild rover. When he came in they were saying, oh, he's back. Did Delia drive you out with your spouting and your swearing? We don't want to hear about Bunker Hayden. Maybe you'll sing us the girls of Kincaid. The publican eyed him steadily as he handed him a pint of porter. You must have seen the bishop's ghost tonight to put that dry look back in your eye. But Matty would not be taken in by his jibing and regaling. He found himself a fresh blown crew, fell in with their sporting and their bailing. As he was going home in the very same spot, he met with his dark familiar. He saw him coming back down the line. He was bright and strange and fine. As he passed him by, Matty threw out his arms, tried to grab hold of his likeness. In the morning we found his frozen corpse at the butt of the Coraline. At the wake they were lashing out the drops of brandy, the old-fashioned habit in the church. They were lashing down pounds and fivers, so Matty would be fine in the old by and by. Strange.
But it's one of those ones where it sounds so lovely, you don't realize that you're talking about death.
Yeah. Or demonic forces.
Exactly, yeah. So I have a visual cue for the next one here. Should I pull that up? The picture?
Oh yeah, but let me just mention about Matty.
Yeah.
There's also, I think there's kind of a backdrop to it that he runs into his dark familiar because he's driven off the farm by his desire for a drink, and when he embraces that dark familiar, that's what did him in. So you kind of have to wonder if there isn't a kind of association between his love of the creature and his dark familiar. Enough said about that. But yeah, bring up Nelson's pillar. So this is a picture of a pillar on O'Connell Street of Lord Nelson, who was, of course, a British naval hero. And you might ask yourself, why is a British naval hero on this huge pinnacle in the heart of Dublin? And a number of Irishmen asked themselves the same question. Now, for a while now, I've been singing a song that Rick Burkhart wrote about the tearing down of statues that celebrate the Confederacy and the slave owners who have been honored by statues in this country. It's called Statue Down, and that was quite a phenomenon in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe before that. I don't know. I'm losing track. But this particular adventure, this pillar of Admiral Nelson, was blown sky high on the 50th anniversary of the Easter Uprising. So that would have been in 1966. And it mentions in the song Jelliganite that comes up, and if whoever was asking for the IRA songs probably knows what Jelliganite is. It's it's fairly portable explosive, kind of like TNT. And anyhow, well, that does come up in the song. Written by Joe Dolan. Popularized by the Dubliners. Poor old Admiral Nelson is no longer in the air. Tooraloo. On the 8th day of March in Dublin City Fair. Tooraloo. From his stand of stones and mortar, he went flying from the quarter where once he stood so stiff and proud and rude. So let's sing our celebration. It's a service to the nation. Poor old Admiral Nelson, tooraloo. You may have noticed that there's a repeating refrain. Tooraloo. That's probably the simplest one we've come up with yet. 50 pounds of Jelliganite, it sped him on his way. Tooraloo. And the lad that laid the charge, we're in debt to him today. Tooraloo. In Trafalgar Square, it might be fair to leave old Nelson standing there, but no one tells the Irish what they'll view. Now the Dublin Corporation can stop deliberation, for the boys of Ireland showed them what to do. For 157 years he stood up there in state. Tooraloo. To mark old Nelson's victory o'er the French and Spanish fleet. Tooraloo. But 1:30 in the morning, without a bit of warning, old Nelson took a powder and he blew. Now at last the Irish nation has Parnell in higher station than poor old Admiral Nelson, tooraloo. Oh, the Russians and the Yanks with lunar probes they play. Tooraloo. And I hear the French are trying hard to make up lost headway. Tooraloo. But now the Irish join the race. We have an astronaut in space. Ireland's now a great world power too. So let's sing our celebration. It's a service to the nation. Poor old Admiral Nelson, tooraloo. Poor old Admiral Nelson, tooraloo.
I love that end bit, their contribution to the space race.
Yeah,
Admiral Nelson.
1966, right?
Yep.
I think De Valera called the Irish newspapers and said that they should publish the story as British Admiral leaves Dublin by air.
Oh,
Ah,
it's good.
so maybe I'll offer this up to the person who wanted the IRA ballad. It's a song about the Spanish Civil War and the Irish that took part in it. And certainly you could find a divide between Republicans and Loyalists as to who did what in the Spanish Civil War, because some fought on the side of the Spanish Republicans and some fought on the side of the fascists. There are a number of terms come up in the song. There's a reference to O'Duffy, and what can I tell you about O'Duffy? Irish Public Television did a documentary on him. It was called Owen O'Duffy, an Irish Fascist. Enough said on that. He was apparently a great admirer of Mussolini, and there's some of that going around still today. Refers to Na Fianna, which is the anti-treaty IRA in the Irish Civil War. So that's why it's kind of hard to sing an IRA song, because you never know which IRA you're singing for. In the
They
Spanish
keep
in
popping
the
up.
Irish Civil War, Na Fianna was opposed to the treaty that created partition. And then the last word that needs explaining is Maynooth, which, if you're not an Irish priest, probably won't mean much to you, but it is the only Catholic seminary in Ireland. So this song is written by Christy Moore, and it's called Viva la Quince Regada, Long Live the 15th International Brigade. There's another song by the same name, but it's in Spanish, so I'll sing the Irish one. If you get a chance sometime, put Viva la Quince Brigada and Christy Moore into a search engine, and you'll get probably a live recording of Christy singing it in front of thousands of people. And it's amazing the passion in him and in the audience. And people were singing along, and not just the chorus, but all the verses too. I was very impressed with that. And the chorus, if you know it, you could sing it with me. Viva la Quince Brigada, no pasarán, the pledge that made them fight. Adelante is the cry around the hillside. Let us all remember them tonight. Many years before I saw the light of morning, a comradeship of heroes was laid. From every corner of the world came sailing the 15th International Brigade. They came to stand beside the Spanish people to try and stem the rising fascist tide. Franco's allies were the powerful and wealthy. Frank Ryan's men came from the other side. Even the olives were bleeding as the battle for Madrid it thundered on. Truth and love against the force of evil, a brotherhood against the fascist clan. Viva la Quince Brigada, no pasarán, the pledge that made them fight. Adelante is the cry around the hillside. Let us all remember them tonight. Part of the song celebrates how people crossed religious sectarian lines to fight against Franco. Church of Ireland is the Anglican church in Ireland. Bob Hilliard was a Church of Ireland pastor. From Killarney across the Pyrenees he came. From Derry came a brave young Christian brother. Side by side they fought and died in Spain. Tommy Woods, age 17, died in Cordoba. With Nafiana, he learned to hold his gun. From Dublin to the Via del Rio, where he fought and died beneath the Spanish sun. Viva la Quince Brigada, no pass around the pledge that made them fight. Adelante is the cry around the hillside. Let us all remember them tonight. Many Irishmen heard the call of Franco, joined Hitler and Mussolini too. Propaganda from the pulpit and newspaper helped O'Duffy to enlist his crew. The word came from Maynooth, support the fascists. The men of cloth failed again as the bishops blessed the blue shirts in Dunleary, and they sailed beneath the swastika to Spain. This song is a tribute to Frank Ryan, Kit Conway, Dinny Cody too, Peter Daly, Charlie Reagan, and Hugh Bonner. Though many died, I can but name a few. Oh, viva la Quince Brigada, no pass around the pledge that made them fight. Adelante is a cry around the hillside. Let us all remember them tonight. Let us all remember them tonight.
That one's interesting. I feel like the history that I've heard mostly focuses on the support against Franco from Irishmen who went to fight, and I feel like I haven't heard as much of that other side. So
Yeah,
that was interesting to hear.
yeah, that's the closest I come to crying in this
Yeah.
set. Is singing about that verse about the Irish sailing under the swastika to support Franco.
Yeah.
Shameful.
Mhm.
So they say that the Irish go off to war singing, energetic anthems, and they come home singing sad songs. This next song I learned from the singing of Mary Black. It's also sung by, oh gosh, I've no name for memories anymore. Billy Bragg sang it. And I thought it was an Irish song, and then, I mean, in a way it is. It absolutely is about Ireland, but it was written by Eric Bogle. And Eric originally is from Scotland, and fairly early in his life emigrated to Australia, has lived there for the rest of his life, and he's written some of the most powerful anti-war songs we have. He wrote, the band played Waltzing Matilda. He wrote No Man's Land, or also known as Willie McBride, and this is another one of his anti-war ballads. And so it's another look at what happens when the youngest and the brightest go off to fight a war. My youngest son came home today. His friends marched with him all the way. The fife and drums beat out the time, as in his box of polished pine, like dead meat on a butcher's tray. My youngest son came home today. My youngest son was a fine young man, with a wife, a daughter, and a son. A man, he could have lived and died to buy a bullet sanctified. Now he's a saint, or so they say. They brought their saint home today. Above the narrow Belfast streets, an Irish sky looks down and weeps on children's blood in gutters spilled, for dreams of freedom unfulfilled, as part of freedom's price to pay. My youngest son came home today. My youngest son came home today. His friends marched with him all the way. The fife and drums beat out the time, as in his box of polished pine, like dead meat on a butcher's tray. My youngest son came home today, and this time he's home to stay. Eric Bogle.
That's another contender for crying.
Yeah.
I think that's Charlie, do you have a favorite Irish performer? Well, not necessarily songwriter, but a musician that you like to listen to?
I really like Christy Moore a lot. I like Ronnie Drew, one of the lead singers with the Dubliners.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Mickey McConnell as a writer and as a singer. Same goes for both Tommy and Colum Sands. So
Yeah.
if you can have 8 favorites, I guess those would be them.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, my introduction was from the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem. Those are the songs, those are the people that got through to the American audience in 1963, 64, when I was first collecting folk music records. And then I went to Ireland in 1970 and collected a bunch more of their albums and other Irish singers' albums and songbooks then. So yeah, a shout out to the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem. I actually got to sing with the Dubliners, and that was maybe my moment of fame, my 5 minutes of fame. I was singing
When
at
was
a
that?
festival. I went to this festival with Tommy Sands and Colum Sands. It was in Moneymore in the north, and they had brought up the Dubliners as sort of the headliner act, and they did the closing set at the end on Sunday. And their last song, they called all of us up to join them on. So I got to sing with the Dubliners. Ronnie Drew was no longer alive then, but many others were.
Well,
Well, I've
remember
gone
what
on.
song you sang?
It was probably the Rocky Road to Dublin. That was sort of their signature
Nice.
song. Also the hardest to sing, but we just sort of moved our lips, and jumped around. It was a photo op. As Colum Sands said, I better end my show now. I've already said too much. So I'll do one last song, and then we can open up the gallery and have a bit of a chat. And I'll finish with a song by Tommy Sands. And as I said earlier, the Sands family were wonderful singers and songwriters for bringing together people in the North and the South. Sectarian division in the North, they were always trying to heal that. And I have Tommy Sands' songbook, and there's a picture in it of the Sands family singers, and that would include their mother and father. I'd have to look at the picture to count the kids. There were a lot of them. Good Catholic family from Ross Trevor, and I like to think that this song was in a way, Tommy Sands paying homage to his mother and his father, who got them to learn and sing songs, and then eventually to write them. And and it's an homage to anyone who brings up younger people, who teaches younger people the lessons of reconciliation, peace, forgiveness, an end to vengeance, an end to the cycle of violence. Heaven knows we need that as much today as ever. It's called Your Daughters and Your Sons. And you could sing this with me. It's got a chorus goes, in your daughters and your sons, your daughters and your sons, you sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. So 3 of the lines are repetitive, and but you won't be held responsible for the one line that's different, because it changes with each verse. But if you could just sing lines 1, 2, and 4, you'll be doing a whole lot. Your Daughters and Your Sons by Tommy Sands. They wouldn't hear your music, they pulled your paintings down. They wouldn't read your writing, and they banned you from the town. But they couldn't stop you dreaming, and the victory you've won. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. Here's your part. In your daughters and your sons, your daughters and your sons, you sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. Your weary smile, it proudly hides the chain marks on your hands, as you bravely strive to realize the rights of every man. And though your body is bent and low, a victory you've won. For you sowed the seeds of justice in your daughters and your sons. Justice in your daughters and your sons. Your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of justice in your daughters and your sons. I don't know your religion, but one day I heard you pray for a world where there was work for all and children they could play. And though you've never had your share of the fruits that you have won, you sowed the seeds of equality in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. Your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of equality in your daughters and your sons. They taunted you in Belfast. They tortured you in Spain. And in that Warsaw ghetto, they led you off in chains. In Vietnam and Chile, where they came with tanks and guns, it's there you sowed the seeds of peace in your daughters and your sons. In your daughters and your sons. Your daughters and your sons. It's there you sowed the seeds of peace in your daughters and your sons. And now your music's playing and the writing's on the wall, and all the dreams you've painted can be seen by one and all. And now you've got them thinking, and the future's just begun. For you sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons, in your daughters and your sons, your daughters and your sons. You sowed the seeds of freedom in your daughters and your sons. Whew. Wow. Well, thank you so much. Oh, look at you all. Ah, that's great. Can you all see you all? I can see you. Ah. Look at that.
All right, if I did this right, if I followed Grace's instructions correctly, I think everyone should be here and we can have a little chat.
I'd like that. I'd like that. I see so many friends out there. Yeah. This is not the time of the evening when I should be thanking people. So thanks to all of you for coming out, for buying the tickets, keeping the rent paid. See so many familiar faces. Ben and Cheryl and Julie, Bill Miller out in St. Louis. Bill, you learning any new songs? I'll have to take your word for it because you're muted.
Yeah, once in a while. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, I'll be out there in October. Maybe I'll get to hear them. Is that an orange hat you're wearing, Storm?
It's red, actually.
All right, then.
However, when I was a kid, my parents did make me wear orange to school on St. Patrick's Day, which was not particularly popular.
Wow. Well, how about that? Well, you know, the tricolor, the Irish flag, it's got orange in it. Orange on one end, green on the other, and white in the middle, standing for reconciliation. It's designed by a woman in France. I think the first time it was flown in Ireland was over the post office during the 1916 uprising. Yeah. Some wonderful singers and songwriters here. Hey, Stephen, out in Detroit, how are you? Good to see you. Mary Reagan was singing about one of your relatives there fought in the Spanish Civil War.
It's nice to know that we have some history of standing up.
Yes. Yeah.
Charlie, I sent you an email, but you won't get it till you get it. But my name is after my father's cousin who died in Spain in the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. So I was extra moved by that song.
Thank you, Sydney. Thanks.
You're-
Which reminds me, Griffin, I'm thanking everybody for showing up. I want to especially thank you. It would have been very hard to do this show without you. I really appreciate all of the technical expertise and the crack, as they say, the chatter that we got to share in between songs. You know, I usually do these shows with other people. It gets pretty lonely when you're just singing to yourself. So I really appreciated your coming in and sharing your thoughts and comments.
I had a blast.
Say
you,
again
Charlie.
now.
I had a blast. Thank you.
Oh, good. So did I. Well, if you get the time and energy for an encore, what do you say?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll sing an encore if you'll sing it with me. We thought about this in advance, and Griffin's going to put the words up on the screen if you don't know them already. True confession, complete disclosure. This is not a song from Ireland, but if you've ever heard it sung, probably you've heard it sung by Irish singers. Mary Black, Christy Moore, lots of Irish singers have sung this song. And it was written let me take a quick look. Ron Hines, that's who wrote it, and he's from Nova Scotia. But it's a kind of universal song. It deals with the youngest child, often the son, who gets left behind when everybody else grows up and leaves the farm, and he's left to tend for things by himself. And I sing this, and I recorded it with Annie Patterson, and she always commented that it reminded her of Bates Hotel, which is in the movie Psycho, with the mother in the skeleton mother in the rocking chair who could never let go of her son. So that's kind of a backstory, but it's a very sweet melody, and if you can deal with the Oedipal parts of it, you can enjoy it as much as Annie and I do. Here's the chorus. Sonny, don't go away. I'm here all alone. Your daddy's a sailor, never comes home. Nights are so long, silence goes on. Oh, I'm feeling so tired and not all that strong. Sonny lives on a farm in a wide open space. Take off your shoes, stay out of the race. Lay down your head by the soft river bed. Sonny always remembers the words Mama says. Chorus. Sonny, don't go away. I'm here all alone. Your daddy's a sailor, never comes home. Nights are so long, silence goes on. Oh, I'm feeling so tired and not all that strong. Sonny works on the land, though he's barely a man. There's not much to do, but he does what he can. Sits by his window in his room by the stairs, watching the waves drifting soft on the piers. Sonny, don't go away. Sonny, don't go away. I'm here all alone. Your daddy's a sailor, never comes home. Nights are so long, silence goes on. Oh, I'm feeling so tired and not all that strong. Apologies if this brings up any bad memories of your mothers. Many years have rolled on. Sonny's old and alone. His daddy, the sailor, never came home. Nights, sometimes he wonders what his life might have been. Still from the grave, Mama's voice haunts his dreams. Sonny, don't go away. I'm here all alone. Your daddy's a sailor, never comes home. Nights are so long, silence goes on. Oh, I'm feeling so tired and not all that strong. Sonny, don't go away. Well, thanks to all for coming out. And let's see, what can I tell you? I'll be back here on April 7th with the wonderful duo from Seattle, Rebel Voices. And we'll be doing a great concert then. And I'll be sending out notices to all of you. So thanks so much for coming. Thanks to Griffin for making it all possible. And we'll be cleaning up a video of this concert, and we'll send you all a link out if you want to watch the whole disaster all over again, or if you want to share it with your friends. So thanks again. And I think I'm going to go have a sandwich.
Thank you, Charlie. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Good night, Griffin.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. Great show.
Thanks, Charlie. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks, Charlie. We love you.
Happy Patty's Day.
You will.
Thanks, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.